Hi, I'm Megan Cornell, and I'm running to be the federal Liberal candidate in the brand new riding of Canada-Carleton for the 2015 election. This is a second installment of answering constituent questions, and given the feedback we had after the first one, we absolutely had to do it again. So thanks for sending in all your questions. Keep doing that. We're absolutely delighted to get your questions, and we will continue answering them as the weeks go by. So the first thing I'd like to mention is give a congratulation to our Carleton, Mississippi Mills / Canada Carleton Women's Association on their 5th anniversary that we just helped them celebrate last week. Félicitations pour les femmes libérales de Carleton, Mississippi Mills. Et votre travail pour les femmes est très, très important. So congratulations goes out. Thank you so much for all the work that you've done for women in politics in this riding and around in Ottawa. So our first question today, it's hard to pin down the sort of 10 or 20 people that have asked me this question. It's the most common question I get, so I'm not going to attribute it to any one person in particular, but it's to address the economy generally and what my feelings are on the economy and how we need to, what direction we need to take in Canada to ensure that our economy is on the right track. So point number one is absolutely that we need a long-term plan for the economy, which has to make the knowledge-based economy the center of where we're going to grow in our economy. Our resource-based economy is certainly important currently in Canada, and a lot of jobs rely on both our resource and our manufacturing communities. But our knowledge-based economy is going to be what we need to rely on as we grow forward. And one of the reasons why that's particularly close to my heart is my commitment to our high-tech community in our riding. As I've mentioned to many people over the course of the last few months, high-tech really forms the basis of much of my personal and professional life. As a corporate lawyer, most of my clients are in high-tech. My husband works in high-tech. We've been through several cycles of startup to purchase of corporations. Most of our friends and family and our surrounding community are in high-tech. An awful lot of the people that I've been talking to this summer are in high-tech or have been in high-tech. Spoken to an awful lot of people who went through the Nortel downsizing and through several other downsizings in our community. And what's really, really important to me is that we have a local representative here in Canada-Carleton who is going to bring the viewpoints and the interests and concerns of our high-tech community to the national economic discussion. So we've got several sectors in Canada, several points where high-tech is really thriving. Canada is one of them. We've got Waterloo, we've got Vancouver, and then we've got lots of different communities in between who certainly have thriving technology sectors as well. But Canada is one of the premier points in Canada for high-tech, and we absolutely have to have an MP here who is going to make that a focus and make sure that our viewpoints are part of that national discussion. That's going to add value to the national discussion on the economy, and it's going to add value to our local businesses and our local economy. So when you ask me about the economy, I see it really, really tightly tied to our community and the special things that we bring to Canada, really as a community. So the next question that I wanted to answer today was, what makes you a Liberal? I've had this question actually from a few different groups of people over the last couple weeks, and I've really enjoyed answering it, and I thought I'd answer it here for you today. So, I grew up in a household that I guess you could paint as NDP. My dad's a retired teacher, my mom's a social worker, and if anything, we were a little bit to the left, the family that I was raised in. When I was quite young, I got engaged in fundraising for various community events and social activism as young as age 10. So that's definitely my original roots. But as I've grown and as I've gone to school and become a lawyer, I've always known that the Liberal Party represented not just me, but who I think Canadians at heart are. We're pragmatic, we're socially conscious, we're fiscally conservative, and that puts us right in the center, which is kind of a difficult point to be at sometimes because it's really hard to get passionate about being in the middle and being the reasonable party. But it's really, to me, what What personifies Canadians? And when I try to attach that sense of Canadianism to something in particular, I always attach it to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I was very young when I decided I wanted to become a lawyer. I was 10. And the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was in its infancy. So I grew up learning about law as the Charter of Rights and Freedoms really came into its own, and the case law developed around what the Charter meant. And that to me has always been the core Canadian values. The charter law really looks at balancing competing interests. It looks at core principles that no law, no one government can be tyrannical and avoid, because we've adopted them as our core principles. And that is why we see, frankly, the Conservative government right now coming into conflict with the courts time and time again, because as a country we adopted baseline principles that say, as Canadians, this is what we believe in, and no one government can overrule those baseline principles. And that is exactly what the Harper government has been doing the last few years. So when I think about being a Liberal, I do always attach it to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And not just because that was brought in under a Liberal government, but because to me, that encapsulates everything that's wonderful about being a Canadian. The principles of fairness and of judging everybody on a similar baseline of principles. So that's what being a Liberal means to me. My third question is one that I'm getting asked daily, several times a day, and that is, when is your meeting date? I thought I would include a discussion of that in this video today because it's certainly on a lot of people's minds since we've been encouraging the growth in the party and excitement over our nomination here for several months now. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the process and where we're at right now. Ultimately, the party has to set up 338 meetings across the country. So we understand they've done about 100 of those. We still have 2/3 of them to go. So while we're very hopeful that we'll have a meeting this fall, and could potentially be quite soon, there is obviously a lot of pressures around the country to do the same thing. So we know that we will have somewhere between 2 weeks and 3 weeks notice of the meeting. So we can't tell you right now the meeting is going to be at the end of November or the end of December, because the party rules specify that you get somewhere between 2 weeks and 3 weeks notice. So you will know as soon as we know. What can you do in the meantime? You can absolutely help recruit more members. This process is nationwide about building the team and then building the plan. And if you look at the Liberal website, that message is very clear. The point that we're at right now is building the team, and we're still probably between 6 months and a year away from the election. So building the team is really crucial right now so that we get the right plan. So if you're engaged in this already, wonderful. If you have family or friends that want to engage in the process, please get them to sign a membership. They can do it online, or you can email our campaign team and we'll get you a membership form. And that means that they can participate in choosing the team. And it's the team that's going to help set the mandate. So if you want to know that your candidate is going to reflect your ideas and your principles, you need to get engaged at this point to make sure that you have the right candidate that's going to be part of the team, part of the Justin Trudeau team, and be reflective of who that team is and the sort of messaging and principles that that team is exuding right now. And then they're going to help build the plan for the national election. So I think that I'm part of that team, and I'm excited to be part of making that plan go forward. So I hope that as you watch this, that you are going to be supporting me in the nomination. If you have any further questions about the nomination process, do get in touch and we can answer any questions you have.